Hello, everyone. My name is Anna Parker, and the title of my doctoral capstone project is Enhancing Self-Determination and Health and Wellness Routines in Young Adults with Down Syndrome, a pilot study. Here's the outline that will guide today's presentation. I would like to sincerely thank the people here for their commitment to making my dream of carrying out this project a reality. I would like to thank Jenny Popova for her constant support and encouragement. I could not have done this project without her. I also would like to thank Jennifer and Grace, the full-time staff at Gigi's Playhouse, for their time and support every single day. I would like to thank Paula for her commitment to the capstone process. And finally, I would like to thank all of the wonderful Gigi's Playhouse participants who made each and every day a blast and very enjoyable. I performed my capstone experience at Gigi's Playhouse, an organization that has grown very near and dear to my heart. The mission at Gigi's Playhouse is to change the way the world views Down syndrome and to send a global message of acceptance for all. Gigi's Playhouse offers a variety of free, educational, therapeutic-based career development programs for the Down syndrome population. Though I did not work directly under an OT, the bulk of volunteers and board members at the Playhouse are OTs. I also had the opportunity to collaborate with Jenny and several other speech therapists and PTs that also volunteer with many of the same participants to share strategy and expertise. Through my research prior to beginning the capstone experience, it became apparent to me that the Down syndrome population faced many barriers to health, mentally and physically. This population experiences physiological and cognitive differences that limit their engagement in health and wellness practices, specifically leading to decreased nutritional intake, decreased engagement and access to physical activities, and decreased education surrounding these practices. Individuals with Down syndrome also experience higher instances of mental health conditions than their typically developing peers do. It is clear, however, that emotional intelligence and social relationships are key strengths for this population. By integrating these strengths and implementing them into programming centered around health and wellness, we can have increased impact on this population. It is evident that there is substantial need for increased research on the feasibility of education with this population on the importance and practicality of health and wellness principles. The theories that guided my project include the model of human occupation and self-determination theory. According to self-determination theory, humans have three basic needs that must be met to achieve optimal functioning. These are competence, autonomy, and relatedness. These aspects guided the development of my curriculum with the ultimate goal of building self-determination in hopes that it would lead to increased self-efficacy as a means to adopt improved health and wellness principles. The model of human occupation, as displayed here, integrates volition, habituation, and performance capacity to subsequently increase participation, performance, and skills which ultimately impact occupation. Individuals with Down syndrome are often highly motivated by their interests and have increased levels of engagement when their efforts are directed towards their passions. My hope was that I could implement volitional aspects and adaptations to roles, routines, and habits to ultimately promote increased participation and performance in various occupations related to health and wellness principles. My hope is to create a replicable programming curriculum which empowers individuals with Down syndrome with the self-determination, tools, and education to increase health and wellness roles, routines, and habits. Below, you can see just a few of the many aspects that I integrated into the program to facilitate progress towards this goal. There are two research questions which guided my project. The first was, what is the feasibility of an 8-week health and wellness education-based intervention with a large group and 2-on-1 participant design for individuals 14 and up with Down syndrome? The second research question was, what are the outcomes of an 8-week health and wellness pilot within the three domains, physical, social, and mental health, on habits, routines, occupational performance, and self-determination patterns. The methods for this study were of a quasi-experimental and pre- and post-test design. I recruited 11 participants with Down syndrome ages 14 and up, and the procedures for this study included recruitment of participants, pre-test assessments prior to beginning the pilot study, an 8-week pilot program, and then following the 8-week pilot program, the same assessments were administered to participants. Just to provide a little more insight on the curriculum I designed, it was an 8-week health and wellness-based curriculum with threads of mindfulness, self-determination, and social participation woven throughout. It included weekly 1-hour-long group sessions and weekly 1-hour-long 2-on-1 sessions with 2 participants and the researcher. A large aspect of the program included parent and caregiver education. The program was broken into 3 domains, which I will dive into further on the next slide. Each domain was further broken into roles, routines, and habits. This visual provides an overview of the weekly curriculum. The introductory week included the consent process, completion of assessments, and discussion of goals and expectations for the group. We then dove into physical well-being, which was subdivided into week 1, which consisted of mindful movement, week 2, mindful eating, and week 3, mindful rest. We then shifted into the mental well-being domain. The 3 weeks consisted of mindfulness, gratitude practices, and finally, affirmation practices. The final 2 weeks, we covered social well-being, including boundaries and active listening, and self-care practices. The final week of the program, we celebrated by taking a social outing to the Lincoln Park Zoo. The post-test involves completing the assessments and then discussing curriculum and goal progress following the program. I used a wide variety of assessments to track feasibility and outcomes of the program. I began by administering a background survey to get a sense of the ages, genders, racial backgrounds, and current health and wellness engagement prior to beginning the program. I administered the mindfulness self-care scale to measure frequency of self-care behavior from a variety of domains. Another assessment that was administered was the OSA short form, in which participants rated their competence and value of various occupations. The role checklist was also administered to obtain a sense of participation and satisfaction levels of various roles an individual engages in. Participants also completed the WHO-5 well-being scale to get a sense of current mental well-being. The final survey collected was administered to participants and caregivers to reflect on the program and the impact it had on participants. Of note, all surveys were adapted with visuals to increase understanding and validity of results for the Down syndrome population, seeing as visual skills tend to be a strength for this population. To analyze the data, a quasi-experimental pre-test post-test design was utilized. Descriptive statistics were run using SPSS software, and a paired t-test was run, in which statistical significance was determined based on p is less than or equal to 0.05. 11 people with Down syndrome participated in the study. The ages ranged from 16 to 51 years old and included 7 females and 4 males. The majority of participants were of Hispanic background, and a diverse range was represented. Now jumping into the feasibility results, the attendance was overall very good. 8 out of 11 participants attended more than 75% of group sessions, and 10 out of 11 participants attended more than 75% of the 2-on-1 sessions. Generally speaking, both participants and caregivers were satisfied with the health and wellness program. As you can see, the caregivers reported higher levels of satisfaction compared to participants, though both believed the program was successful and would recommend it to others. Here was one of the quotes I took from a caregiver's report on the satisfaction survey, which conveys the impact of the program on her participant. She stated, "I think that this program has been one of the most productive and enriching classes my sister has attended at this organization. She has grown in confidence, knowledge, and assertiveness." As far as results, the role checklist revealed statistically significant increase in role satisfaction. While significance was not reached in other assessments, the data did suggest increased averages in competency and value scores in individual items on the OSA short form. The WHO-5 suggested decreased scores in overall well-being, likely due to the increased awareness through participation and education in the program. The mindfulness self-care scale approached but did not reach statistical significance to suggest an increase in mindful self-care practices. I broke down the individual domains of the mindfulness self-care scale to get a sense of which specific items may have drastically been affected, which is displayed here. The results were consistent with my original hypothesis of the implementation of an 8-week health and wellness program being a feasible intervention strategy to improve roles, routines, and habits as they relate to health and wellness principles, as well as increasing levels of self determination. The research suggested that promoting self determination through individualized goals and decision making leads to increased self advocacy, improving health and wellness principles, specifically the adherence to exercise routines and promoting greater satisfaction of psychological needs. While there was some evidence collected to suggest this trend, the only statistical significance revealed changes in satisfaction with existing roles. This was likely due to the small sample size in the study. Caregiver and participant satisfaction with the program, however, suggest improved habits and routines and increased knowledge as well as self-determination principles. The clinical bottom line for OT is that OT should utilize the existing curriculum to implement programming in various settings, perhaps by increasing the sample size and implementing increased parent report. It is evident that fostering increased self-determination practices may have impacts on engagement in health and wellness principles. This study lays the foundation for future projects and implementation of similar programming at various community-based sites to have positive effects on health. This is a growing area of need for individuals with IDD, and this program offers a feasible curriculum to address these areas and foster growth and improvement over time. Here are my references. Thank you so much for your time listening.